Oh, are we good? I think we're good. Are we there?
Yeah, you are good. Let's go.
Oh,
Let's go.
let's go.
Uh,
Oh wait, yes. Face thing first, right?
yeah,
Okay, now we're
okay.
good.
I will
Yeah,
count it. There.
are we live?
Yeah,
We
you
are.
are live. Hey,
Okay, good.
Tempest.
Sorry, I had a moment there. Hey, hello everybody. Yes, I'm Tempest. This is Bramhall the Fifth,
Hello.
and we also got Soaring Sloth and Haxum on comms.
Hello.
Hello everyone, I am Haxum. Glad to meet y'all.
And yeah, we're gonna be we're the four of us are gonna come together to do a little something interesting for you all, a little showcase of Spark the Electric Jester making its Indiethon debut. So let us start with the incentive that you all donated for. This is mostly going to be a segment run by Bram and myself. So
Now, what am I doing?
well, we're just shooting the stuff basically as we go through. So I would like to make a quick shout out before we get this first portion started, and that being to Nia, aka Arcania CQ. She was supposed to be doing the first portion of this little Fark block with Spark 1 Fark's story, Super Static, and unfortunately Nia had to pull out due to some very understandable reasons, but of course we thank you for taking the time to submit Spark 1 to this, and I figured this would be a nice little way to tell you all how the heck did we get here to Spark 2. So
In a world.
we're gonna go ahead and load up time attack mode. I'm gonna be setting up some preset Jester powers, which are basically the Spark version of Kirby's copy abilities. And we're going to go all the way on over to the final level, Megarath Fortress. I'm going to give myself 10 minutes to try to complete this stage, and then we will move on to the main event itself. So, without further ado, we'll start the timer in. Bram, you want to count me down?
3, 2, 1, take off.
Let's get dashy. Alright, so first thing you need to know about Spark 1. It's a 2D 16-bit inspired game made with not just Sonic, but Kirby and a few other things in mind. And so what you're going to be seeing me utilize is a combination of Plasma Sword and Wind Jester. And the reason for this is because Plasma Sword has a charge ability that allows Spark to accelerate much faster, and you'll see it by the after image effect going on. So whenever that's active, you'll know. No, unfortunately, he can lose his power up like Kirby can. Usually it doesn't take a single hit to do so. I think that's just the game being a little finicky sometimes. But other than that, you can see him do a dash, which is pretty cool stuff. Nothing too special otherwise. And then we'll just go on to Wind Jester. This is a very platforming-based ability, definitely considered the go-to when it comes to the overall platforming of Spark 1. Its charge attack, funnily enough, actually shoots you backward, so knowing when to use that boost like so is pretty imperative. And he's also got a spin dash, because of course this is Sonic-based, so you'll see me use that a couple of times there. The real benefit to using Wind Jester, though, is that he can also dash in midair, and he's a little floaty. You can also hold the jump button to hold your jump, stay in midair, stuff like that. And yeah, there's some pretty cool stuff. Spark 1, among all the Spark games, has the most Jester abilities or Jester powers to them, though. So you can easily get lost in just the sheer volume of how there is like a ton of them and then some. Like, one of my favorites being the Board Jester power. There's also Cool Jester, and then, of course, Edgy Jester, which we'll get into that pretty soon, don't you all worry. I think my commentators know exactly what I'm talking about.
Definitely.
But yeah. So, what your thoughts are so far, Bram?
Looks very fast.
It is pretty fast, yes. You can definitely say that again.
Looks very fast.
Very
True.
fast.
Got him.
Definitely looks
You know who
very
doesn't
fast.
lose his powers in one hit?
Who?
Soma Cruz.
True. Shout out to Castlevania's Soma Cruz saga, by the way, which I actually still need to play those games seriously. I'm so glad that the first one got included on the Advanced Collection when that came out, you know? Just a godsend that Konami even, thought about making it in the first place. So, Haxton, do you want to talk a little bit about combat in this game?
Oh, combat is a bit messy, I would describe it. So you use your Jester power to attack the enemy or a boss, I don't know what else to say.
I mean, that's pretty much it.
That's how I
Yeah.
would describe it.
Yeah, no, that's basically it. So admittedly, the second playable character in Fark, who's the Shadow and Metal Sonic of this universe, has a few extra mechanics to his name in that he cannot use Jester powers in Spark 1, but they gave him a parry attack, or rather a parry mechanic, which, we'll be seeing more of that soon, don't you worry. But for now, all you need to know is that it can be used to counter enemy attacks, which is also good because it builds up his static gauge, and also allows him to heal HP, because unlike Spark, who has 6 health, he's got 3. So it's basically the equivalent to Extra Mode, if you're familiar with that Kirby mechanic. Again, making another parallel to the Kirby franchise. And not really much else to it. So, for now, the whole point of me trying to use the time trial mode is that, one, as I mentioned, we get to choose which stage to jump to immediately. The one downside to this is that Megarath Fortress is admittedly one of those stages where checkpoints are not all that... Well, oh, actually, no, this is more of a time attack thing. That's right. One of the downsides of using time attack is that save points or checkpoints are unfortunately not present. So if I do happen to die, I will have to start at the beginning of the section, which luckily, because this stage has 2 halves to its name, then I don't really have... I'm not in that much danger. I am in the second section after all, so yeah. Not really much else to explain aside from that, and yeah, we'll just see what happens at the end if we manage to get there. But I think we're looking pretty good on time so far. How are things looking, Alara?
Things are looking great. You're a little past 4 minutes and change.
No problem.
So you are doing great on time there.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we are taking a little bit too much damage from the big red guy. Unfortunate to say, because I guess he can be a bit of a pain. One mechanic that you probably won't be seeing, unfortunately, is that with the... Ooh, that was not supposed to happen. Okay, hang on a second. I'm going to play a little... Try to play a little safely. Bram, I guess you could say we're in the danger zone. Oh.
I think we're past that.
No.
Unfortunate. Alright, no worries. We're just going to start from the second section once more.
So this is like, these levels are like linear, right?
They're pretty linear. They have multiple
You don't have
routes,
to like,
though.
you don't have to like remember where to go or anything.
Well, generally it does help to know where you can go, especially if it means having to skip a little bit of platforming. Like, for instance, you saw me utilize a downward version of Jester's charge to, you know, push myself upward, which is pretty helpful. This game, in terms of its platforming, is admittedly long. Like, it was discovered that thanks to the use of a clipping technique from the Edgy Jester power-up, alongside the some interesting out-of-bounds work within the second stage of the game, FM Downtown, that there is a wrong warp that can skip about 10 stages total. So the any percent category as we know it, which is on the leaderboards, is solely run by Deadly Zero, is at least under like 18 something minutes, so a little bit under 20 minutes basically. It's pretty fast, which, you know, cuts out at least an hour otherwise of the no wrong warp category. So you can imagine how much of an optimization that was.
Yeah, pretty big.
I have to imagine this takes a lot of notes from the Sonic franchise for obvious reasons, and this is hitting on a lot of nostalgia points for me. This really reminds me of Sonic CD growing up.
It's really wonderful. Spark 1 is one of those games where I think with the later entries, a lot of people just tend to forget about it, but like, it really is still one of those things that I would highly recommend you go back to. It is worth giving a shout out to Sparkle Gem, by the way, or as we like to, or also known as Farkle, who has been working on a mod called Spark the Electric Jester 1 Recharged, and it does a lot of bug fixes for the game, and is also working on implementing a original story of the character Float from Spark 3. So it's a really cool project, and something that we are trying to accommodate into the overall Spark community right now, and we're just very much looking forward to seeing the final result. But aside from that, if you want to try it for yourself, there is, I believe it's I forget the platform it's on right now, but there is a link. So if you want to check it out for yourselves, you can join the Spark the Electric Jester speedrunning community Discord, where we can hit you up with it. And yeah, pretty much that. So one thing I got to be very careful of is that there will be a mini boss if I manage to make it that far. This will get a little bit tricky at one health. Oh, dang it. Well, I think that's more than likely gonna have to do it. What's the timer looking like at this point?
You're at about 8 minutes.
8 minutes.
So,
One more
yeah.
try, just for the fun.
You
of
can
it?
do one more try. I believe in
Sounds
you.
good. Oh, I don't know, Bram. What's the name of that song again? It's a little something called "One More Time" by Daft Punk.
Something like that.
Yeah. Or are we gonna celebrate?
Let's hope so.
Have a good
I
time.
believe.
Yeah, well, yes. We can have a good time regardless of whether or not we celebrate. Won't be any dancing, I don't think, though.
No,
Not on my end, anyway.
no. But the music's got me feeling so free.
I can't hear the soundtrack from here, but yeah.
Oh yeah, it's just a bit low. It's fine. Trust me, I think better off that we don't like boost it up too loud for what it's worth.
Y'all, I'm dying here with the music puns. This is great.
What?
The music wordplay is fantastic. I appreciate all of you so much right now.
All right. So we are trying to bounce on through. Sloth, I have a question.
What's up?
Yellow, Your Honor?
Yellow. I can provide that.
That's a little joke that he and I were recently doing for a little co-op that we toyed around with not too long ago. Pretty fun one.
Would do it again.
Aside from that, though, I would like to remind folks that if Spark 1 happens to fancy your interest, then it is still very much available on Steam, and it goes pretty often on discounts. You can get this game at a very reasonable price. My personal recommendation is the Spark It Up, Fark It Up bundle, which gets you the entire trilogy in one package. That's how I got mine, and I do not regret it one bit. It's a really fun series. And again, just something just to recommend, because I think these games, while these games get enough attention from those that have played it, I also feel there's a slight bit of underratedness going on that I would certainly love to help fix, because Lake Peppered, while not necessarily working on another Spark project at the moment, he has confirmed that there will be a Spark 4 at some point. So once he finishes his current racing game, that being Extreme Formula XF, and then we can imagine Spark 4 will eventually be coming along, and we are pretty excited for it. Alright, so I think this is as far as I'm gonna get. But let's at least show up that spin dash.
That is a very cool spin dash effect.
Yeah. I think this is where we get to the mid-boss, though, so let's see here. Yeah, this is the... Shout out to the onion rings from Death Egg Zone from Sonic 3 and Knuckles, by the way. Oh, looks like I've sadly lost my plasma sword somehow. Oh yeah, because I think it's the way the power-ups stop. And then here we have a rather daunting section. Those red rings are going to try and push me into the spikes. Now, luckily, those don't instant-kill me, unlike a certain Blue Bomber franchise I like to play. But it is a pretty daunting attack all the same. You might have noticed that at one point I actually negated damage, because apparently when you dash at the right time of an enemy attack, it is possible for Spark to do a parry. Oh, nice. We got him, though. Alright. Just a little bit left after this, once he eventually explodes, and just a bit more platforming. One thing to note about the wall jumping is that you are encouraged not to hold a direction while in the midst of your wall jump.
So you are coming up on 12 minutes, so I think we are up on time
All right,
for
no
Spark 1,
problem.
unfortunately.
That's more than enough. That's more than enough showcase. I'd say that's a good time to call the time for Spark 1 then. All right, so yeah, thank you all for meeting that donation. Wish that went a little bit smoother, but hey, we at least got to show off Spark 1 for you all. So again, shout out to Arcania. Nia, thank you so much for running this game and doing what you do. And looking forward to learn a little bit more about it from you soon enough. with that in mind, I think it's time for the main event, shall we? Alright, so I'm gonna do a quick little this and that, and in just a moment, y'all are gonna be seeing Spark 2. So, please stand by.
What?
Alright, commentators, you ready for this?
Perhaps.
Yeah, I am ready.
Alright,
Oh, that Metal Sonic character. Okay.
Yep. I told you he's basically the Metal Sonic / Shadow of this franchise. Okay, so, welcome to Spark the Electric Jester 2. This originated as a spin-off game for Spark, who then effectively made it, like, Lake Pepper then decided, okay, you know what, I'm actually going to make this the second entry of the game. And thus we went from 2D to 3D, and you're all going to be seeing a Sonic Adventure-inspired sort of gameplay going on here, and it's really cool. It's a game that, while Spark the Electric Jester 3 further improved on and, dare I say, near perfected it, this game is still going to be fun to showcase. And quick mention of the category, this is going to be any % minimum tech. There was a little thing called switch boosting discovered around the time the speedrunning scene of this game started, a little ways before GDQ X 2019. In this category, this was made so that we would not be allowed to use that. This way, people who felt a little bit daunted by switch boosting wouldn't necessarily have to rely on that. So that's basically how it's going to go here. And yeah, we hope you all. Oop, that is not the right size that I wanted. I was literally trying to drag it to my second monitor. Oh well. Yeah. So we're going to select normal difficulty to start the game. Oh, I almost forgot my timer. That would be good. That would be pretty good to have. So, while I quickly do that, Alara, if you'd like to quickly read any announcements or whatnot.
I would love to, but instead I'm actually going to plug something because later on today we do have a run of Unworthy and we do have a donation incentive going on for that to upgrade to all bosses for that run. It's not that much of a sprint to get there. $50. We get a whole bunch of more game for that if people want to jump in on that. So if you want to donate to Fred Hutch, you can find the donation tracker at tracker.indiethon.com/donate. I would love to see the all bosses run just because more game always good. It frustrates runners because that means they have to slow down their runs to do more content. And there's a little part of me that likes torturing runners that way. Also, if you want to pet the doggo, we do have the Pet the Doggo incentive for Road to Guangdong.
Well, you just got Bram's attention because he likes dogs.
Yeah.
As do I. Alright, so, around the time Spark was born, we suddenly go into Spark School. So time will officially begin once I select Quit to Menu, because we have this little thing where this is the tutorial level, and while there is an IL record for it, we don't count it as part of the main run. Instead, this gives us a chance to just jump straight into the first level proper, and because the way this game was built in Unity was kind of sort of funny, we don't necessarily have to, like, what's the word here? We don't have to complete Spark School. We instead just select Quit to Menu and it just does so. So, alright. Wish me luck, Bram.
Good luck.
3, 2, 1. Let's go. Okay, welcome to Flower Mound City, aka FM City. This is also the name of the first level within game number 1. I'm going to start this off by collecting a few power-ups. These are the same Jester powers that you literally just saw a moment ago in Spark 1, and there are a few returning ones from the first game. However, what we're going to see is rather something that is a mix of both returning and brand new. Oh gosh, well, marathon luck, it just had to do that to me. You hate to see it. That can happen sometimes, though, but I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to my commentators to let them talk a little about some of the tricks and techniques that I'm doing.
Yeah, you got it. So, one of the big things you'll be seeing throughout this run is a thing called the Magnet Dash. Effectively, it's a dash cancel that starts from the Jester dash, homing attack, followed by a regular dash. This takes time to increase in speed from the Jester dash and prevents Fark from slowing down, instead of allowing him to zoom. And fun fact, this was a tech found in Sonic Frontiers well after it was found in Spark 2.
It's pretty impressive. Yeah, it's pretty impressive that an official Sonic game would actually somehow have the same trick found in an indie game in it, but we love to see it.
Yeah. Another thing you'll probably also be seeing too is switch boosting, which is banned in the minimum tech category, but it's a trick that increases your speed by holding down the D-pad and mashing the attack button, almost rhythmically, and holding down the shoulder button. This is what makes any percent extremely quick, but it can also be a pain to your hands if you're not capable. Oh.
Yeah, pretty much so. And then, Haxum, if you'd like to talk about Edgy Jester.
So, Edgy Jester gives you 3 dashes, and it also has a boost, which you can use to gain extra height. And to do that boost, you use the charge attack.
So now we're going to go into our first instance of a boss fight. The combat is sort of like a Devil May Cry light, if you will, in that it got much more Devil May Cry-like in the 3rd game, but here it's a bit more akin to what was adapted from Fark's story in Spark 1. In fact, it's basically exactly that, except we're taking a few new things. Of course, I did mention in the Spark 1 segment that Fark could not use Jester powers, whereas in this game he can. And the one we're using for most combat is going to be the Power Armor, which is a really, really interesting Iron Man-like suit thing, where it's actually the real Fark under the armor, so it's still technically base Fark. It's a little unique in that way, but he's played it up. It's pretty cool. It also gives him a mid-air dash that lasts much longer, but it also it's like an air dash that can only really be used once, whereas, as mentioned with Edgy Jester, you can do up to 3. So Edgy Jester is going to be our big platformer power, if you will. And then Plasma Sword, the first ability that I got, which is also a returning one from the game, the first game, that's going to be... We'll talk about that soon. Actually, we'll talk about that right now, in fact, because I'm going to pull off a trick that was literally... I'm going to attempt something that was literally found before the run today by my rival, Nick Cart. Let's see here. No, okay. Doesn't look like it wants to play ball, so I'm just going to skip that entirely, and we're just gonna schmoove. It's a little unfortunate because that does risk the other strat that I would have done a little bit earlier at the bottom there, and does lose us time in the process, but, it's okay. So yeah, not much else to explain. Haxum?
So... Hold on.
Gloria Highway.
Yeah. Sorry.
You're good.
So at the end of the level, there's a boss that we can skip. I'm not sure if we're gonna do that skip, but we'll see.
Yeah, I could do it for swag, but the world record holder of the category, Nick Cart, had somewhat proven that you could actually just try to fight the mini boss at the end a bit faster. That said, it does let us get to clip out of the level, so it's a cool thing to show off. It's just optional at best, but I don't know. Let's see how I'm feeling. You know what? I'm gonna leave the decision to Bram. Do you want to see the clip?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna see the clip.
Swag strats, best strats.
Swag is always time neutral. All right.
So wait, it doesn't save time to skip the boss?
Well, it could. I guess it depends on how you execute the stage. So you're gonna see me angle right into... Oh yeah, first try. There we go.
Sounds like we're storing up RBO strats.
And voila, we just literally went past him. Let's go.
Beautiful.
Very beautiful.
Stunning.
Out of bounds is always great.
And it's not the last time we're gonna see it. In fact, the next instance will be coming up in Floria Plant right over here. So, Sloth?
Yeah, at the start of the plant, there's a higher ground where a couple of weak enemies will spawn. Using the slope, Fark will want to magnet dash off it by targeting the blue robot. And if the launch works out just right, an edgy boosted jump will guarantee he can reach the top of the otherwise indoor section that's generally slower to jump through. This stage is the first to feature lava, which won't instantly kill you. However, it will drain your health, which you can risk running through. It's not unlike Hell Runs in Metroid, for instance.
Yeah, it's for lack of a better comparison anyway, because I feel like that was, at least when I was trying to think about what exactly just defines lava in this game, it kind of makes sense. All right, there we go. Not quite the launch that I was looking for, but that'll do. So we're coming up. Oh. Oh, okay, that's a little unexpected. I guess this is, I guess that's never happened before. Allow me to explain that one. So, what I was supposed to do in order to see the clip was there is a pillar prop that you simply climb up, right? And the thing is, you then get to run up it using a dash, and then the game allows you to go outside of the boundaries, and then I would have charged up a edgy boost to then jump with a Jester charge as well. I think, from what I can tell, this is probably a side effect of the current version that I'm using, though. So this is where I get to talk about version differences. Switch boosting was effectively patched out in version 1.3, and the most modern version is 1.5. But instead of running on 1.5, I'm actually doing 1.3. I normally run on 1.2.1, but there's a very good reason at the very end of the run as to why I chose this method instead. So, yeah, it involves a bit of a banger, if you will. So you all are in for a wonderful treat, but admittedly, I was not thinking that was going to happen. So my guess is that was put in because of the current patch. Unfortunate, but oh well. So Haxum, what do we got about Turbo Bird here?
Yeah, so it's a bit orange. So this really isn't orangey, but there are attack patterns that stay the same all the time.
Yeah, it's more a matter of knowing when he attacks and what he's about to do, because there's not really much else we can do, though, about that desperation move where he's zooming across the stage. It is possible to try and land a overcharged attack. Like, there's something that I like to call Hyper Surge, named after the ability that Spark can do in the third game for a purchasable skill, and I believe it originated as the overcharge move to Edgy Jester, which actually we should probably talk about energy gauge. So
wait, am I gathering that the bird is a jerk?
You know what? That's actually a very good comparison, because Turbo Bird is not a traditional bird, but a bird by name, so therefore a bird.
Yeah.
But yeah, Haxum, if you could talk about the energy gauge, because I totally aired out on that one. Specifically, like what the energy gauge does, what it's obviously doing for Park.
The energy gauge is like mostly used for combat, and it's essentially just used for combat, basically. But
Does it work as a kind of stamina system?
Basically, I mean,
yeah, it's kinda, but I wouldn't really describe it as that.
Yeah, in this game, it's used as a way to power up Park, because you're noticing with the parrying that the more I parry, the more energy builds up, and the more energy you got, the more your attack will multiply. So keeping that in mind is what allows us to shred through boss health, which we're coming up to another one pretty soon, but for now, here's Castella Blanca. Shout out to Hang Castle and Mystic Manor from Sonic Heroes. And Sloth, if you could tell everybody what it is I'm going to be setting up for.
Yes. So this stage has a couple ways to be beaten in less than a minute. One method is using the exhausted magnet dash on a nearby enemy from the start. Then Fark launch up to a higher platform when where the warp to the end of the stage is not too far away. Sorry. Words are hard, you guys.
I feel you all the time, man. It's like English is hard is a mantra that I say to myself one too many times a day.
Yeah. Alternatively, a potential safer strat is having Fart go a bit beyond the enemy, get to the first intended warp switch, and then launch in the direction of the barrier-covered section to the left. The idea is to clip into the side grate where he then goes inside the barrier and can safely fall into the gold drop. It is very funny to see.
It is. Unfortunately, the game is giving me a little bit of grief, so I'm going to restart the stage really fast. Unfortunately, it seems like a lot of marathon luck is going on right now. This is definitely unexpected.
We are
I thought
here to
marathon
show
luck
off
was
how
good.
amazing you are. A little bit of marathon luck isn't a bad thing. It just means we get to see how great you are at recovering from this.
Exactly.
That's fair. Appreciate it. Well, let's see here. Could it be that could this be another difference of, the version I'm playing, I wonder? Oof. I wonder. Guess I wasn't thinking too much about the possibilities here. Yeah, admittedly, Lake Peppered has a tendency to patch certain things out to, which is, for the most part, understandable. But, yeah, that's unfortunate. Okay, so...
Would you say that that is a wonder wall?
Ah.
What's next? We're heading to the Oasis for some refreshments? Pretty much. Alright. Well, for better or for worse, I'm going to have to try and complete this stage normally. This could also have been something patched out unexpectedly, and I think that's just my hubris talking right now. Oh well. I wasn't expecting to do any miracle plays for what it's worth. It's just, you know, a bit of a shame in that way. Understandable, however. I will give a quick shout out to the fact that Spark 2 also happens to be the first Spark game to have a console port. Lake Pepper went out of his way to do a solo effort port, where he basically brought it to the Xbox One. So it is still purchasable on the Microsoft Store. Don't think it ever got any discounts per se, but there have been some people that have experimented with the One version, especially when it comes for ILs, so if you definitely want to give that a shot yourself and see what you can do, then yeah. I am told that there may be a few physics differences per se. I think Nick might have reported that to me, potentially, but aside from that, you know, you're also playing on the most modern version of the game, which isn't bad in hindsight, but of course, I've also been told there have been, oddly enough, a few interesting issues with the most modern version itself as well, so kind of bizarre, and yet not really much else you can do about it, so, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, now we really get to see the level for what it is, which is never truly a bad thing. I really do think that one of the unfortunate things about the Spark 2 speedrun for how fast it goes is that you don't usually get to see the levels for their overall glory. Like, it's just... It's a pretty short game, but I truly think that Lake Peppered put in quite a bit of effort into the overall levels, and yeah. Just that switch alone right there was to deactivate the barrier that's needed to eventually get ourselves down to the goal ring. So we are just about at the home stretch of Castella Blanca here. Not really much else to say at the moment, so...
If I can, then I would like to chime in. I noticed that the main character here is not wearing a shirt and looks kind of cold. So if anyone wants to put in a $5 donation and buy that Fred Hutch shirt potentially, we can get it for the character here.
Use a raincoat today.
That's true. Over here on the East Coast, it is very, very rainy over here. Like, we would know having just come from lunch in town, seriously. Oh, jeez. Although, I guess... you know what? I guess you could say one of the perks of being a robot is that he doesn't really have to worry about that. But, you know...
Waterproof, I hope.
For the most part, yeah, I would think. Oops, I think that was a bit of a mistake there. Let me reset to checkpoint there, which should help us just a bit there. I thought that was my drop-off point. Whoops. One strange quirk about this game is that enemies do not respawn. So once they spawn, but once you get far away from them, they will despawn, and then there's no way to, like, re-engage. It's one of the stranger things that not even Spark 3 has gone on and fixed, per se, but we do have a practice mod that was made by Freeson of the community, and that is a feature that was added in one of the later versions. So big shout out to Freeson for that. Seriously, a very, very cool tool to have, and we're actually starting to use it. This is my drop-off point. We are actually going to be starting to use that for tasks pretty soon. Not to spoil anything otherwise, but yeah. Alright, now we get to the end of the goal. Definitely longer than intended. Not much I could have done about that. Again, my hubris, but hey. Now we get to a pretty cool boss. So this is Float. Axum?
So float is a difficulty spike, if you will. And float's attacks are less telegraphable than the bosses you have seen before.
Alright, so now we're going to do something where I'm going to go into the pause menu and switch my difficulty to challenge mode, as I have a habit of saying risking it for the biscuit. The reason for this is because Challenge Jester is a difficulty where your attack gets really buffed, but it comes at the cost of Fark being able to get 2-touched. So luckily we managed to make that work, and we got our biscuit. So let's heckin' go. Very nice.
Another thing we took from Devil May Cry, it's Dante Must Die mode.
Oh, yeah, or Heaven or Hell mode for that matter in later games. Okay, we got a really cool trick coming up here in Shantoria Town. If I could just pass it on over to Sloth while I set it up.
Yeah. So, funny thing about this level is that the goal is actually not too far off from where you start. The intent is actually just to go around the slide, almost like taking a big U-turn. And using a special type of launch, Fark can reach the goal in little over half a second or less. It just all depends on what method you use and if it pays off.
Let's try that again.
Yeah, the advanced trick to attempt beating Shantoria in under 20 seconds is using an exhaust magnet dash at one of the starting springs, followed by an edgy boost. Then switching to the plasma sword to use a glitch in its projectile attack, where the amount of pushback it does on Fark greatly increases when certain strong moves are used beforehand. Congrats on that, by the way.
Thank you, yeah. That's, you know, not first try, but hey, I can certainly accept a second try. It's a weird because it's definitely preferred if you are more of a key, like when Nick Cart discovered I guess the proper name for it would be targeted exhausted magnet dash. We'll talk about the exhausted magnet dash soon, but for now, all you really need to know is that that trick involved the use of the lock-on feature, which I can use the right shoulder button for, yes, but let's just say that it then requires me to have to use the edgy boost a different way, which I'm already jumbling my my methods right away. Give me a second here. Axum, tell them about Technoria City, if you will.
So Technoria City has a bunch of springs, and you can magnet dash off of a spring if you get the angle just right.
Yeah, it's weird because it's the only instance of a sort of a height requirement, if you will. Sort of like, you must be this tall to ride, except you must be this above me in order to zoom. Something to that effect. And I just fell. Wow, I am really cheesing it up right now. There we go. That's a bit more like it. And then we go up to here. Boost pads, they can seem a little deceptive sometimes because the whole idea of them is that while they do set you off, they also sort of limit your momentum to a certain value. And as our later discoveries have found out, the amount of speed we get off of a magnet dash much exceeds that of a boost pad. So we try to avoid those traditional types, if you will. They don't really do us much favors, and I accidentally walked into one, literally proving my point, having lost that momentum from the magnet dash. Oh well. We're near the end of the level, though, so it's really not all that bad. And then exhausted magnet dashing, that's what happens when you attempt to do a magnet dash, but you waste all of your air dashes first. And instead of having a more straightforward effect, it literally launches Fart in whatever direction and angle he's facing his target. So it's useful for the more height-oriented platforming that we're trying to go over super duper fast, but aside from that, yeah, that's basically it. And now we're at EJ.
Yeah, what a funny guy. For much of a pushover as he is in the story, he has some attacks that can be hard to time for the parry. As such, fighting him on challenge difficulty can be a little bit rough, but EJ, using a basic combo, not unlike base Fark, as well as a projectile attack and explosive burst, we can kind of do some stuff.
EJ's pretty funny because I always think his name sounds like a very inappropriate term, and yet I'm not really sure what the whole point of was. But then I realized, no, it's just Electric Jester abbreviated, because he's meant to look like Fark except different. It's like they put the faker on top of the faker.
Flashing lights warning for this fight. If you have epilepsy, please look away.
Yeah, this boss double is... So in Phase 2, he will start to employ an attack that actually will cause the screen to flash. He does reappear in Spark 3, spoiler, but the warning for that attack is a lot less egregious, or at least the attack is a lot less something to that. I don't know. I think it's just as bad, actually. What am I saying? But yeah, on full display right here, unfortunately. But now he's down. And then he's going to do a little final gambit here. Oh, I'm not finished yet. Punch. Punch. And then one final explosion.
I love the exploding boss. I'm assuming he can kill you after he dies.
He could. He could.
Oh, yeah.
It depends on if you're that low on health. So yeah, it actually can do that.
A classic.
You better believe it. Hey, Bram, do you like trains?
I think I've seen enough of them this weekend, but yeah, they're pretty good.
I like trains.
I like trains. Yeah.
I
so,
like trains.
This level is really straightforward. You know, you're in the back of the train, and your goal is to get to the front of the train. Conserving speed can be a little bit tricky, but all it takes is a magnet dash wherever possible to try and keep that momentum going. On top one of the cards is an energy capsule and energy bubble, where Fark will want to collect those to build his attack multiplier for the last part of the stage. Yeah.
That was unfortunate. I did not expect to get lasered like that. Anything that damages will cut off your speed momentum as expected. It's just that was very random, and unfortunately that has never happened before. So once again, I continue that streak of me saying that at just about any single event I've done runs for.
And we're coming up on a mini boss, which we want to have that multiplier for, because it'll let us shred the boss into pieces.
Yeah, his attacks are pretty simple to pick up on, but the ones that are inexplicably cause the game to slow down, it's not very fun for RTA. Trying to minimize it as much as possible is a little bit recommended.
Dargan.
Yeah, Dargan indeed. I sometimes call that Terminal Dragoon out of habit because I don't know why. I just do. Okay, this is a bit of a hard magnet dash to do, but we're gonna try it again.
You have a moment to jump in with a donation then?
Oh, absolutely.
I have $10 from Yatogami NL, who was actually the runner of the previous game. Shoutouts to Alara and friends was great being here. Now go run like you never have before. Also, in Sonic Frontiers, Magnet Dash was officially renamed by Sega as the Homing Dash. However, we as a community named it plenty of things. The most known one is the gritty, sorry shovel claws.
That's true. So, that's unfortunate. Sorry, Shovel, if you're hearing this. It's actually very true that the community has spoken about that. Oh gosh.
And then, just a reminder to everyone, those donations did come in for a couple of incentives we have coming up, including the upgrade to all bosses and Pet the Doggo.
Whoa, jeez. Oh, come on. Please. Okay, come on. There we go. 1 second. Frick. So, I'm trying to do an... Oh god, train chaos. Wow, this level is going very, 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 very wrong. 1 second.
That's
then.
what Shovel Claws would call getting owned.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. That's unfortunate. Well, let's try and do that one more time. Wow, everything is going wrong all of a sudden. Well, it's fine. It's fine. Just, you know, as the meme goes, this is fine. Alright, one moment though.
And then, while we have this little bit of downtime, I would like to remind everyone, if you want to donate, Indiethon is raising money for Fed Hutch Cancer Research Center. Donations support their amazing efforts. Donate by going to tracker.indiethon.com/donate.
Oh wow, I am getting owned really hard right now. What? Sheesh.
And then Indiethon is not done after this. We do have plenty more to run. We have a run by Nacho coming up. Battle Block Theater, any percent, no level skips, weaponless. It's a crazy run. Deadly puzzles, oddball humor, collapsing blocks, sticky walls, bouncy volcanic rocks, deadly spikes, the whole works.
I'm very curious to see how that one goes. So yeah, best of luck to Nacho coming up. This should be pretty fun. Yeah, I do apologize though. This is going way less than I planned. You gotta understand, I put a lot of practice into this run, and
you are doing fantastic, and I don't think I could do half the things you are doing on stream right now.
I appreciate it. I just, you know, it is like I said, it is what it is with marathon luck. It's you know, it's one thing over the other. Just...
I know very little about this game, but your character sure is going very fast.
Oh, he continues to go fast. It's what he do.
I can guarantee you we're having fun. I'm sure chat's also having fun. We are having a blast. Lots of fun colors, lots of fun combat. I'm chilling, I'm vibing. This is great. You have nothing to apologize for. I am enjoying this.
Heck yeah. Thank you, Alara. Okay, so Titanic Tower is coming up, and this is a pretty big one. Because we're not just talking the stage, no, we're talking about the skip.
Yeah, this is a very vertical stage. Using Plasma Sword Jester, the key in minimum tech to perform words. So after the first 2 ramps that go up the tower, early on is an elevated ramp to the right, next to some trees in a green circle, where this type of enemy keeps it. Oh wait, you're going for it. Oh.
Yeah, that was not a good launch, though, so I'll have to try this one more time. There we go. That's looking a little better.
This looks wild. What am I seeing?
This is the Plasma Sword glitch. We're gonna try that one more time, because, yeah, that was a little bit to the left. But yeah, commentators, continue.
Yeah, sorry.
Fun fact, there is no fall damage, unlike Spark 3.
This is true.
Yeah, the goal is to go up there as Plasma Sword, turn 180 degrees with the dash, remain on the slope, then use the projectile tag as you're about to hit the boost pad, and if done correctly, while spamming the attack, this will skew Fark's gravity to push him up the tower. Provided that he doesn't bonk into anything on the way up, this trip is straightforward, one that can be beaten in less than a minute. It's, honestly, I think it's really funny. You just trivialize the whole stage with just one of the goofiest strats.
Ooh.
Pat, I need the good energy and the good vibes here. This looks fantastic.
Okay, so unfortunately I did. One thing you're not supposed to do with that trick, of course, is you're not supposed to move the directional stick, and I obviously did the taboo there, but the problem was that for some reason he just kept wanting to go right or left. So the problem therefore becomes the movement eventually cancels out, and so for the rest of this stage we're just gonna have to do this normally. Not much I can do about that, but you know, I think it'll go ahead and keep us from wasting too much time. Now, back in the heyday of the leaderboard, there was a clarification that most runners liked to use called no ELE, and Haxum, if you could explain that.
So, no ELE is no early exits. And there are 3 early exits in the game, 1 in this stage and 2 in the 2 final stages.
And that's all dependent on what difficulty you're playing too, because if you're doing easy difficulty, these other 2 early level exits will appear, but if you're doing normal, then that's where it shows up in Titanic Tower. So the fact that I'm running this on normal, you're really not going to see it, and that's good, because it also just prevents me from accidentally activating it anyhow. So, you know. And now we got Flint. This samurai man is pretty nimble on his feet. He's going to try and do some slashy slashes, but we're just going to say no. So, a quick note about Flint is that Double from earlier was his quote-unquote master, and Float was a close friend of his, so obviously he's trying to do a little bit of a last stand. But in truth, he's actually not going to die. In fact, you're going to see that as he falls down very shortly from now. There we are. And then he gets back up, gives a nod, and then vanishes. And he kind of sort of becomes our friend, so it's all cool. But now we got Planetary Stripe. This is probably my favorite level of the game. If you're familiar with things like Sonic Rush's... I love Sonic Rush, don't get me wrong. I was actually... I meant to say Sonic Adventure 2's Final Rush, excuse me. Then you're basically going to see something similar here. A very unique level, though, in that it does not feature a single instance of enemies, and instead, if you were to try and do the score attack medals, you'd have to make use of the bit bubbles scattered, and the bits scattered throughout the level. This is a pretty cool stage, though, and has a very jamming theme. I gotta give a shout out to the composer Andy Tongstall, by the way, who also provides his vocals, as you've been hearing throughout the boss themes. Some really jamming stuff, and easily inspired by that of Crush 40, no doubt.
Looks like we have a raid train coming in from channel 734. Welcome, everyone.
Hey, it's the folks from No Fish 2024. Fancy seeing you all.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was saying fancy seeing you all here. Hope day 1 of your event went well.
Well, to our fishy friends, welcome. We are raising money for Fred Hutch. Indiethon Spring 2024 is raising money for the Fred Hutch Cancer Research Center. They are a Seattle, Washington-based research facility dedicated to finding cures for cancer. Through their research and testing, they've been able to invent important life-saving medications, such as HPV vaccines, which please go get if you have not already. And you need it. Your support here saves lives, and they will not stop until they've found curative therapies for all cancers. You can find more information about their research on their website, fredhutch.org.
So now for one of the coolest levels of the game. Hyperwrath Fleet is quite literally a sequel to Megawrath Fleet from Spark 1, both in its theming, as well as the song itself being absolutely carbon cut out from Spark 1. But it's a pretty hype song altogether, so pretty forgivable, and you know, just a jam to listen to, really. So this is consistently the longest level in a speedrun setting, especially when used without switch boosting. Sloth, if you could explain what exactly is the reasoning for that.
Yeah.
Wait, did
Oh, wait, I
did I forget to tell you
I'm
about
sorry,
that?
I'm sorry. No, I found it.
Okay.
Yes, switch boosting is a nifty clip that threw a wall on a propeller. Wait.
Take your time, my guy.
Sorry. Yeah, in any percent, we use switch boosting, and there's a nifty clip like through a wall on a propeller that makes this entire stage beatable in less than 45 seconds. But in minimum tech, we can do it in at least around 3 minutes if you perform well at enough.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh yeah, fun fact about Fark's parry attack, by the way. It can not only do it off of enemy attacks, but obstacles as well. And some of the levels purposely have that in mind, where it sort of forces you to do that, like how there was that laser door in Floria Plant. And then we got something like this. Yeah. It's kind of bizarre. Normally you would consider that a bold move when it comes to game development, but for here it makes a little bit of sense because, you know, parrying in Spark 2 is very busted. It's only fair that it kind of works for what this was. But if you were to play the Spark 2 levels in Spark 3, which actually did get included in the version 1.2 update, I believe it was, then you would
correct
see...
you, it was 1.1.
1.1, got it. Yeah, I was close, but the difference is you would notice some of the differences that Lake Pfefford accommodated, since while Fark is also playable in Spark 3, not to the same bustedness as he has going in Spark 2. So now we're entering an escape sequence. Don't mind the fact that the countdown went from 64 to 59. We're just getting out of here, and if I were to fail this sequence somehow, the game would throw a sort of full screen attack, which funnily enough you could parry regardless. So yeah, parrying is pretty busted in Spark 2, all things considered. And yeah, not really much game left. Only a few bosses and then one full stage, and then that's it.
I can absolutely see the Final Rush comparison you're saying.
Yeah, Planetary Stripe was especially good with that. Hyperath Fleet, I like to think of it as somebody saw the intro cutscene from Sonic Unleashed and decided, I'm going to make that playable, and that's exactly what Hyperath Fleet is. So, you know, it's a very cool level. So now we've got Astra and Romalo. Romalo is a returning character from Spark 1 who is an ally to Spark, but right now he is helping out Astra because he believes her to be the good guy, and considering Fark was the bad guy in Spark 1 for the most part, it's understandable that he wouldn't necessarily, he would be a bit skeptical of him at first. Astra, on the other hand, unfortunately, she's an agent of this artificial intelligence called Clarity, who becomes the focus of the third game. And let's just say she decides that we're too dangerous to let alive, because, spoiler alert, Fark turns out to be the creation of the main bad guy of the first couple of games, Freon. So he literally just learns this in this game, and now we're going to do something really spicy. This is Apocalypse Thruster, the last full-on stage. And this is where targeting the targeted magnet dash really came into play through Nick Cart, so Sloth.
Looks pretty similar to the last stage in the other game.
True.
Yeah, this trick is doable on controller, but better executed with the keyboard and mouse in mind.
There we go.
You lock on. You lock onto the bit bubble, then charge to the edgy boost using a strong attack button as the right shoulder disengages the lock on. You want to make sure you.
I don't know what happened.
It's fine.
It looked bad.
What happened is we get to see that amazing trick again.
Oh no, it's fine. We made the checkpoint, so we don't have to do it again.
No, yeah, you just want to make sure you hold the jump button as well, as this allows the launch height to go higher, and once ready, Fark will fall down a decent descent before performing the exhaust magnet dash. As he reaches the appropriate height, you switch to Plasma Sword and then start launching it back with the projectile attack. If all goes well, provided he's angled right, Fark will go in the direction of the checkpoint leading up to the last inner portion of the stage.
Oh, this vertical section is pretty tough, though, because while the momentum system of running up walls is pretty solid and all that jazz, it also comes at the cost of, if you suddenly stop your momentum and the game suddenly says, okay, it's been long enough, Fark can get off the wall now, yeah, you have to find a way to slope back up, and that is the one major downside of how that goes in Spark 3D gaming, but, you know, aside from that, it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Well, I want you to know chat is here for it. They are loving these jumps.
Yeah, I'm fully aware. Thank you, chat. All right, Haxum, let's take this home.
So, Freon Mark III is a returning form from Spark 1 and from the Fark story. There are 3 phases to the fight. And I believe they are mostly the same.
Flashing warning, by the way, forgot to bring it up because he also uses explosion attacks. Alright, now moving to phase 2. Unfortunately, like with Float and Astra before, he will recover his health fully between phases, but it is what it is. So just a little bit further in. If I could just survive this one, and then he should move into phase 3 moment. Oh, come on. There we go. That's more like it. And now he's also using the power of darkness. You like Kingdom Hearts?
Never played it.
You're missing out.
I imagine
You are
so.
missing out.
And now he's down. Quick note that we do try to stand away from the bosses because the explosions do lag the game a little bit closer. So, you know, the explosion sequence goes much faster as long as you're far away. And now for the best boss music. Oh, this is Ultimate Final Battle, a remix
Ultimate
of
Final Boss.
Ultimate Final Boss. Yes, this is a theme that once again carries over from Spark 1, and for some reason was not quite added in until version 3. So now whenever you face Freon Mark Ultimate, which is going to be our final boss of the game, then yeah, now you get to experience this banger, and oh my god. This was the reason why I did sort of switch to 1.3.0 for the sake of this event. I think just getting to hear this alone is worth it, at the very least.
Can we get some lyrics, chat?
Aha.
We do, absolutely. Older versions of the game had it where you just heard the title theme playing in the background, and it's not a bad one. I just think this one is definitely superior. Personally speaking, if I could find a way to just mod the Ultimate Final Boss song into version 1.1.2, sorry, 1.2.1, then, you know, it'd be a perfect scenario here. But alas, we take what we can get. Oh, wait a second, I just realized I need to up the volume. Hang on. Right. I keep forgetting that for some reason the volume tends to be a bit low with Spark 2 unless you go into the options menu or something. It's weird. And shout out to the fact that this boss is basically Frieza and Cell, so to speak. Like, I think it's pretty clear that some of the aspects of Spark as a series was also inspired by Dragon Ball. And of course, just a quick little tribute to the late Akira Toriyama. Time will be coming up, though, on the final hit. So you're in 3, 2, 1, time.
Time.
Beautiful.
And there we get to see the final blows being exchanged between these two, father and son, having one last bout. This is basically anime. It's beautiful. You like anime, don't you? You don't like you? I like it.
I haven't seen a lot of it.
Oh man,
Kind of goes hand in hand with the fact that I haven't played Kingdom Hearts either.
I guess so. Unfortunate. But hey, if you like anime and you dig this, good on you. Alright, so that's Spark the Electric Jester 2. Quick shout out to the Spark the Electric Jester speedrunning community and to everybody that has put time into running this game overall. Big shout out, of course, to Lake Peppered for developing these games. Looking forward to Spark the Electric Jester 4 when that eventually comes around. And then also to my thanks to Bram for joining me today, as well as Soaring Sloth and Haxum. This was their first time commentating for this particular game, and Haxum's first time commentating, period. So I'm glad I could accommodate you there, my guy.
No problem.
Yeah.
Is there a good place for us to follow you? Some social media or channels?
I'll explain that in just a second. Here's my favorite part. Nope.
Nuh-uh.
Nuh-uh.
Like some 5-point palm exploding heart stuff.
Something like that. Alright, so if you'd like to check me out, tempestmask1000 here on Twitch and YouTube. I also got a Twitter at It's Tempest Steve and a Blue Sky at Tempest Mask. So if you'd like to just, give me a look-see on any of those social medias where I tend to post if I'm about to be doing some streaming stuff, because I'm pretty much hobby. I'm very, very sporadic with when I'm able to do it. Just personal life stuff usually. But aside from that, thank you to Indiethon for having me. And yeah, best of luck to the rest of the runners of this event. And that's probably going to be it from me for the entire event. So, yeah, shout out to everyone. Let's keep raising money for Fred Hutch, and until we next meet, ciao, Michi.